The clock on the wall showed 9:30 p.m. when Lisa Martinez pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallway of the Henderson Financial Tower. Her small hands gripped the handle tightly as she moved from one office to another. At 16 years old, she looked even younger with her thin frame and tired eyes. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore the same faded jeans and white t-shirt she had worn to school that morning. Lisa had been working this cleaning job for 8 months now. Every evening after school, she would take 2 buses from her neighborhood on the south side of Chicago to reach the tall glass building downtown. The money she earned helped pay for her mother's medicine and kept food on their small table. It was not much, but it was something. The 40th floor was always the hardest to clean. This was where the rich executives worked, the ones who made more money in one day than Lisa's family saw in a whole year. Their offices had thick carpets, leather chairs, and windows that looked out over the entire city. Lisa always felt small, in these rooms, like she did not belong there. She was emptying a trash can in one of the corner offices when she heard footsteps behind her. Lisa turned around quickly, expecting to see Jake, the security guard who usually walked around the building at night. Instead, she found herself looking at a tall man in an expensive dark suit. He had gray hair at his temples and kind eyes, but Lisa could tell he was someone important just by the way he stood. "I'm sorry," Lisa said quickly, her heart beating fast. "I didn't know anyone was still here. I can come back later." The man smiled at her. "No need to apologize. You're just doing your job. I'm William Henderson. I own this building." Lisa's eyes went wide. She had heard the name William Henderson many times from the other cleaning workers. He was one of the richest men in Chicago, maybe in all of America, and now he was standing right in front of her, talking to her like she was a normal person. "I'm Lisa," she said quietly, not sure if she should shake his hand or just nod. "Nice to meet you, Lisa. You work late hours for someone so young." "Yes, sir. I go to school during the day, so I can only work at night." Lisa felt nervous talking to someone so important, but William Henderson seemed nice enough. That must be difficult. School and work both. Lisa nodded. She did not want to tell him about her mother being sick or how they needed every dollar she could make. Rich people did not need to hear about poor people's problems. William was about to say something else when Lisa accidentally knocked over her cleaning cart while trying to move it out of his way. Bottles of cleaning spray, rags, and trash bags scattered across the expensive carpet. Lisa's face turned red with embarrassment. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she said, dropping to her knees to pick everything up. "I'm such an idiot. Please don't fire me." "Hey, it's okay," William said, getting down on his hands and knees to help her. "Accidents happen." Lisa looked up in surprise. She had never seen a rich person pick up anything from the floor, especially not to help someone like her. As William handed her a bottle of glass cleaner, Lisa noticed something that made her stop breathing for a moment. On William's right hand was a ring unlike anything she had ever seen except in one place. It was made of gold with detailed patterns carved into it. In the center sat a small green stone that caught the light from the office lamps. The ring looked old and expensive, but that was not what shocked Lisa. She had seen this exact ring before. "Sir," Lisa said slowly, still staring at his hand, "that ring you have..." William looked down at his ring finger. "This old thing? I've had it for many years. Why do you ask?" Lisa's mind was racing. How could this be possible? "My mother has a ring just like yours, exactly like yours, but..." She stopped talking, not sure how to explain what she was thinking. "But what?" William asked, his voice suddenly more serious. "But she won't tell me where she got it. She's had it since before I was born, but every time I ask about it, she gets sad and changes the subject. She acts like it's some big secret." William stood up slowly, the cleaning supplies forgotten on the floor. His face had gone pale, and he was staring at Lisa with an expression she could not understand. "Can you describe your mother's ring? In detail?" Lisa thought this was a strange question, but she answered anyway. "It's gold just like yours. It has these fancy designs carved all around it like flowers and leaves, and there's a small green stone in the middle." "Oh, And there's something written inside the band, but I can only see part of it when my mom takes it off to wash dishes. William's hands started shaking slightly. What does the writing say? I can only see a few letters. It looks like forever, and then some letters that might be initials. W and H, I think. The bottle of glass cleaner slipped from William's hands and hit the floor with a loud thud. He was staring at Lisa like he had seen a ghost. What's your mother's name? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Carmen Martinez. But why are you asking me all these questions about my mom's ring? William did not answer right away. He walked over to the big window that looked out over the city lights and stood there for a long time. Lisa wondered if she had said something wrong. Maybe she should not have mentioned the ring at all. Finally, William turned back to her. Lisa, I need to ask you something important. How old are you? 16. I'll be 17 next month. And your mother, has she always lived in Chicago? No, sir. She came here from Mexico before I was born. She doesn't talk much about her life before that. William was quiet again, and Lisa could see that he was thinking hard about something. The silence in the office was making her nervous. Lisa, William said finally, I think your mother and I knew each other a long time ago. That ring she has, I gave it to someone very special to me many years ago. Someone who disappeared from my life without any explanation. Lisa felt like the room was spinning. What do you mean? I mean, William said, looking directly into her eyes, I think your mother used to have a different name, and I think there are things about your family that you don't know yet. William walked back to his desk and sat down heavily in his leather chair. He looked older than he had just minutes before, like the conversation about the ring had taken something out of him. Lisa stayed where she was, still holding cleaning supplies in her hands, not sure what she should do next. Lisa, please sit down, William said, pointing to the chair across from his desk. I think we need to talk about this ring situation. Lisa set down the cleaning bottles and sat on the edge of the chair. She had never sat in such an expensive chair before, and she was afraid she might get it dirty with her work clothes. But William did not seem to care about that right now. You said your mother came from Mexico before you were born. Do you know what part of Mexico? She never told me exactly. Sometimes she mentions a place called Guadalajara, but then she gets quiet about it. My mom doesn't like talking about the past. William nodded slowly. And your father? What did she tell you about him? This was always a hard question for Lisa. She said he died before I was born, some kind of accident. But whenever I ask for details, she starts crying and tells me we don't need to talk about sad things. Has she ever mentioned the name Maria? Maybe that was a nickname someone called her? Lisa thought about this. Actually, yes. Sometimes when she's sleeping, she talks in her dreams. I've heard her say Maria a few times, but when I asked her about it, she said she was probably dreaming about her cousin back in Mexico. William's hands were shaking as he opened the top drawer of his desk. He pulled out a small photograph and stared at it for a long moment before sliding it across the desk to Lisa. Does this woman look familiar to you? Lisa picked up the photograph and gasped. It was a picture of a young woman who looked exactly like her mother, but 20 years younger. The woman in the photo had the same dark eyes, the same smile, even the same way of tilting her head slightly to one side. This is my mom, Lisa said, her voice full of confusion. But how do you have a picture of my mom from when she was young? Because the woman in that picture is not Carmen Martinez from Mexico, William said quietly. Her name is Maria Gonzalez, and 25 years ago, she was my girlfriend. We were in love and planning to get married. Lisa felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. That's impossible. My mom's name is Carmen. She's always been Carmen. Look at the back of the photograph. Lisa turned the picture over. In faded ink, someone had written, Maria, my love, Christmas 1999. I don't understand, Lisa said, her voice getting smaller. Why would my mom have a different name? Why would she lie to me about that? William stood up and walked to the window again. That's what I've been trying to figure out for 25 years. Maria and I were together for 3 years. We met in college, and I thought we would spend our whole lives together. I bought that ring you noticed and asked her to marry me. She said yes. What happened? One day she just disappeared, no note, no phone call, nothing. Her apartment was empty, and none of her friends knew where she had gone. I searched for her everywhere. I hired private investigators. I traveled to Mexico to look for her family, but it was like she had never existed. Lisa was trying to process what William was telling her. But if you were going to marry her and she loved you, why would she leave? That's the question that has kept me awake for 25 years. William came back to his desk and sat down. He looked directly at Lisa, and she could see pain in his eyes that reminded her of the look her mother sometimes got when she thought Lisa was not watching. Lisa, I need to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. When is your birthday? August 15th, I'll be 17 next month. William did some quick math in his head. That means you were born in August 2008. Maria disappeared in November 2007. The office was so quiet that Lisa could hear her own heartbeat. She was starting to understand what William was thinking, but it seemed too crazy to be true. You think, my mom was pregnant when she left you? Lisa asked. I think it's possible. The timing matches perfectly. But that would mean, Lisa could not finish the sentence. That would mean I might be your father. Lisa felt dizzy. She gripped the arms of the chair to steady herself. No, that can't be right. My mom told me my father died. She wouldn't lie about something that big. Unless she had a very good reason to lie. What kind of reason would make someone lie about that? William was quiet for a moment, thinking about how much he should tell this 16-year-old girl. My family has a lot of money, Lisa. Sometimes when people have money, they think they can control other people's lives. It's possible that someone in my family did something to make Maria feel like she had to leave. You mean they threatened her? I don't know for sure, but it's possible. Lisa was trying to make sense of everything. Her whole life she had thought her father was dead. She had imagined what he might have looked like, what kind of person he was, whether he would have been proud of her. Now this strange, rich man was telling her that he might be her father and that her mother had been living under a fake name for her entire life. I need to ask my mom about this, Lisa said. I would like to meet her if she's willing. But Lisa, this might be very hard for her. If I'm right about what happened, seeing me again could bring back a lot of painful memories. She's sick, Lisa said quietly. That's why I work this job. We need money for her medicine. What kind of sick? The doctors say it's cancer. She tries to hide it from me, but I can see she's getting worse. William's face went pale again. How long has she been sick? About a year, maybe longer. She doesn't tell me everything. William stood up quickly. Lisa, we need to go see your mother tonight. Tonight? But it's almost 10 o'clock and I haven't finished cleaning this floor. Forget about the cleaning. If your mother is really Maria, and if she's as sick as you say, then we can't wait. There are things we need to talk about, important things that have been waiting for 25 years. Lisa looked at this man who might be her father. Part of her was scared about what they might find out, but another part of her was excited. For the first time in her life, she might finally get answers to all the questions her mother had never been willing to answer. Okay, she said. Let's go see my mom. The ride to Lisa's apartment took 30 minutes in William's black car. Lisa had never been in such an expensive car before. The leather seats were soft, and everything was so clean and quiet. She sat in the passenger seat, looking out the window, as they drove from the rich part of downtown to her neighborhood on the south side of the city. William did not talk much during the drive. Lisa could see that he was nervous too. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, and every few minutes he would take a deep breath like he was trying to calm himself down. Are you sure about this? Lisa asked as they got closer to her street. Maybe we should wait until tomorrow. My mom goes to bed early because the medicine makes her tired. I've been waiting 25 years for answers, William said. I don't think I can wait another day. Lisa's apartment building was old and not very nice. The paint was coming off the walls, and some of the windows were cracked. There was trash on the sidewalk, and the streetlights were dim. William parked his expensive car and looked around at the neighborhood where his possible daughter had been living her whole life. This is where I live, Lisa said, feeling embarrassed about how different it was from the fancy office building where she worked. It's fine, William said. But Lisa could see him looking at the broken steps and the rusty door handle. They climbed 3 flights of stairs to reach Lisa's apartment. The hallway smelled like cooking food and old carpet. William followed Lisa to apartment 3B where she pulled out her key. Mom might be sleeping, Lisa whispered. She usually goes to bed around 9:30. Lisa opened the door quietly and turned on the small lamp in the living room. The apartment was tiny with just 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a living room that was also used as a dining room. Everything was clean but old. The furniture looked like it came from thrift stores, and the carpet had stains that would not come out no matter how much Lisa scrubbed them. "Mom?" Lisa called softly. "Are you awake?" "Lisa? Is that you?" came a weak voice from the back bedroom. "You're home early tonight. I brought someone to meet you. Is it okay if we come in?" There was silence for a moment. "Who did you bring home?" "Lisa, you know I don't like strangers in the house when I'm not feeling well." Lisa looked at William, who nodded encouragingly. "It's about your ring, Mom. The one you always wear. This man has one just like it." They heard movement in the bedroom, and after a few minutes, Carmen appeared in the doorway. She was wearing an old bathrobe and slippers. Her black hair was streaked with gray, and she looked much thinner than she had a few months ago. The cancer was clearly making her weaker, but she was still a beautiful woman. Carmen looked at William and her face went completely white. She grabbed the door frame to keep from falling down. "No," she whispered. "This can't be happening." "Hello, Maria," William said quietly. Carmen's eyes filled with tears and she shook her head. "My name is Carmen. I don't know what you're talking about." "Mom?" Lisa said, confused by her mother's reaction. "Do you know this man?" Carmen looked back and forth between William and Lisa. She could see that her daughter was confused and scared. After a long moment, she walked slowly to the old couch and sat down heavily. "How did you find me?" she asked William, not looking at him. "I didn't find you. Lisa found me. She works at my building and she noticed my ring." Carmen looked at her daughter with surprise. "You talked to him about my ring?" "I was just curious, Mom. I've been asking you about that ring for years, and you never tell me anything. When I saw he had the same one, I thought maybe he could explain it." Carmen was quiet for a long time, staring at her hands. William sat down in the chair across from her, being careful not to get too close. Lisa sat next to her mother on the couch. "I never wanted you to find out this way," Carmen said finally. "Find out what?" Lisa asked. Carmen looked at William, and for a moment Lisa could see something in her mother's eyes that she had never seen before. It was not just sadness, it was love, but also fear and regret. "This man is your father," Carmen said. Even though Lisa had been thinking this might be true, hearing her mother say it out loud made her feel like the world was spinning. "You told me my father was dead. I thought it was better if you believed that." "Better?" Lisa's voice was getting louder. "How is lying to me better?" William held up his hand. "Lisa, let your mother explain. I think there's more to this story." Carmen took off her ring and held it in her palm. She stared at it like she was remembering something from long ago. 25 years ago, I was a different person. My name was Maria Gonzalez, and I was a college student. I fell in love with William, and he asked me to marry him. I was the happiest I had ever been in my life. "So what happened?" Lisa asked. "His father happened." William leaned forward in his chair. "My father? What did he do?" Carmen finally looked directly at William. "After you proposed to me, I went to your house to meet your parents officially. I wanted to ask for their blessing. Your mother was polite but cold. Your father was worse." "What did he say?" "He told me that I would never be good enough for his son. He said I was just a poor Mexican girl who was trying to marry into money. He said you would get tired of me eventually and that I would embarrass your family." William's face was getting red with anger. He had no right to say those things to you. He didn't stop there. The next week he came to see me when you weren't around. He had pictures. "What kind of pictures?" "Pictures of my family in Mexico. Pictures of the small restaurant my parents owned. pictures of my younger brothers and sisters. He told me that if I didn't leave you alone, he would make sure my family lost everything. He said he had enough money and power to destroy them. Lisa was staring at her mother in shock. So you left because of threats? I was 22 years old and scared. I didn't know what to do. Your grandfather offered me money to disappear and never contact William again. He said if I took the money and left, he would leave my family alone. How much money? William asked. $50,000. It seemed like all the money in the world to me then. And you took it? Carmen nodded, tears running down her face. But there was something else, something I hadn't told anyone yet. What? I was pregnant. I had just found out a few days before your father came to see me. I was planning to tell you that weekend. The room was completely silent. Lisa felt like she could not breathe. So you took the money and left town because you were pregnant and scared? William asked. I thought it was the only way to protect everyone. My family, the baby, even you. Your father made it clear that he would never accept me or any children we had together. William stood up and started pacing around the small living room. So you let me think you just didn't love me anymore. You let me spend 25 years wondering what I did wrong. I'm sorry, Carmen whispered. I was young and scared, and I thought I was doing the right thing. Lisa looked at both of them, her heart breaking for what they had all lost because of one cruel man's threats. William stopped pacing and sat back down in the chair. He looked at Carmen with eyes full of pain and anger, but also something that might have been love. My father destroyed 3 lives with his selfishness, William said. 4 lives if you count his own son. Don't blame yourself, Carmen said softly. You didn't know what he was doing. But I should have looked harder for you. I should have known something was wrong when you just disappeared like that. Lisa had been listening to all of this, trying to understand how her whole life had been built on a lie. So you're really my father? She asked William. William looked at her, and for the first time since they had met, he smiled. Yes, I think I am. And I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. It's not your fault either, Lisa said. You didn't even know I existed. Carmen started coughing, and it took her a long time to stop. When she finally caught her breath, there was blood on the tissue she held to her mouth. Mom, are you okay? Lisa asked, moving closer to her mother on the couch. I'm fine, just tired. But William could see that Carmen was not fine at all. She looked much sicker than Lisa had described. Her skin was pale, and she was breathing hard, just from sitting up and talking. Carmen, when was the last time you saw a doctor? William asked. I see doctors all the time. They give me medicine, but it's not helping much anymore. What kind of doctors? Where do you go for treatment? Carmen and Lisa looked at each other. Lisa answered for her mother. We go to the free clinic downtown. The doctors there are nice, but they don't have a lot of equipment or medicine. William felt his heart break a little more. While he had been living in luxury for 25 years, the woman he loved and his daughter had been struggling just to get basic medical care. That's going to change right now, William said firmly. Tomorrow morning you're going to see the best cancer doctors in Chicago. I'll arrange everything. We can't afford that kind of doctor, Carmen said. I can afford it, and I should have been paying for it all along. Carmen shook her head. I don't want your money. I never wanted your money. This isn't about money. This is about getting you the help you need to get better. And it's about taking care of my family. Lisa looked back and forth between her parents. It was strange to think of them as her parents together. She had only known her mother, and now suddenly she had a father too. What about your father? Lisa asked William. The one who threatened my mom. Is he still alive? William's face got hard. Yes, he's still alive. He's 87 years old and still trying to run my life. He lives in the family house about 20 minutes from here. Are you going to tell him about us? I'm going to do more than tell him. I'm going to make him face what he did. Carmen grabbed William's arm. Please don't start a fight with your father because of me. I don't want to cause problems in your family. Carmen, you are my family. You and Lisa are my real family. My father stopped being family to me the day he drove you away. The next morning, William kept his promise. He picked up Carmen and Lisa in his car and drove them to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, one of the best hospitals in Chicago. Carmen was nervous about being in such a fancy place, but William held her hand and told her everything would be okay. The doctors ran many tests on Carmen. Some of the tests hurt, and some just took a long time. Lisa sat in the waiting room with William, both of them worried about what the doctors would find. "Are you scared?" Lisa asked him. "Terrified," William admitted. "I just found you and your mother, and now I might lose her again. She's been fighting this cancer for a long time. She's stronger than she looks. She must be strong to raise such a good daughter by herself." Lisa felt proud when he said that, but also sad. "I wish I had known about you when I was little. I used to pretend sometimes that my dad was still alive somewhere, maybe looking for us. I was looking for you, in a way. I never stopped loving your mother, even when I thought she had just left me." When the doctors finished their tests, they called William and Lisa into a small room to talk. The news was not good. Carmen's cancer had spread to other parts of her body. The doctors at the free clinic had done their best, but they had not had the right equipment to catch the cancer early enough. "How long does she have?" William asked. "It's hard to say exactly. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year if we start aggressive. Treatment right away. Then start the treatment, do everything you can. The treatment will be expensive and difficult. It might make her feel worse for a while. I don't care about expensive, just help her." When they told Carmen what the doctors had said, she was quiet for a long time. Then she looked at William and Lisa sitting on either side of her hospital bed. "I want to fight," she said. "I want to have more time with both of you." Over the next few weeks, Carmen started her cancer treatment. William paid for everything and made sure she had the best doctors and nurses. He also rented a bigger apartment for Carmen and Lisa in a better neighborhood, closer to the hospital. Lisa was having trouble adjusting to all the changes. One day she was a poor girl working a cleaning job, and the next day she had a rich father who wanted to take care of everything. It felt good not to worry about money, but it also felt strange. "I don't know how to be rich," Lisa told William one day when they were sitting in Carmen's hospital room. "You don't have to be different than you are," William said. "Having money doesn't change who you are inside, but everything else is changing. New apartment, new school, new life. Sometimes I feel like I'm not me anymore." Carmen, who was feeling a little better because of the treatment, reached for Lisa's hand. "You're still the same good girl you always were. Money doesn't change your heart." But the biggest change was still coming. William had not seen or talked to his father since finding out the truth about what happened 25 years ago. But he knew that conversation could not wait much longer. "I need to go see my father," William told Carmen and Lisa one evening. "I need to tell him that I know what he did, and I need to tell him about Lisa." "What if he tries to hurt us again?" Carmen asked. "He's an old man now. He can't hurt anyone anymore. But he's going to face the truth about what his cruelty cost all of us." "I want to go with you," Lisa said. "Lisa, I don't think that's a good idea. This might get ugly. He's my grandfather, even if he's a terrible person. I want to look him in the eye and let him see what he almost destroyed." William looked at Carmen, who nodded slowly. "Okay," William said. "We'll go together. It's time my father met his granddaughter." The Henderson family mansion sat on 5 acres of perfectly manicured land in the wealthy suburb of Lake Forest. William had not been to this house in over 2 years, not since his last fight with his father about business decisions. Now he was coming back with the biggest news of his life. Lisa stared at the huge house through the car window. It had tall, white columns and more windows than she could count. The driveway was longer than her entire old street, and there were gardens everywhere with flowers she had never seen before. "This is where you grew up?" Lisa asked William. "Unfortunately, yes. It's beautiful, but it was never really a home. More like a museum where 3 people happened to live." "Are you sure we should be doing this?" Carmen asked from the back seat. She was still weak from her cancer treatments, but she had insisted on coming along. "We need to do this," William said. "My father needs to see what his actions cost all." Of us? They parked in front of the house and William helped Carmen out of the car. She was wearing a simple blue dress that William had bought for her, and she looked nervous but determined. Lisa wore new jeans and a white blouse, also gifts from William. She wanted to look nice when she met her grandfather for the first time. Betty, front door was answered by an elderly woman in a black uniform. Master William, she said with surprise, your father didn't tell me you were coming. He doesn't know we're here, Helen. Is he in his study? Yes, sir. Reading his morning papers, as usual. William led Carmen and Lisa through the grand hallway lined with expensive paintings and antique furniture. Everything in the house looked like it belonged in a museum. Lisa felt small and out of place, just like she had felt in William's office, building that first night. The study was a large room filled with books and dark wooden furniture. Behind a massive desk sat an old man with white hair and cold blue eyes. He looked up when they entered, and his expression immediately changed from curiosity to anger. What is the meaning of this, William? I thought I made it clear that I don't want to see you until you come to your senses about the business. Hello, Father. I'd like you to meet some people. Richard Henderson's eyes moved to Carmen and Lisa. He stared at Carmen for a long moment, and Lisa could see recognition slowly dawning on his face. You, he said, his voice full of disgust. You're that Mexican girl from 25 years ago. I thought I paid you to disappear. You did, Carmen said quietly. But some secrets don't stay buried forever. And who is this? Richard asked, looking at Lisa with suspicion. This is Lisa, William said, putting his hand on his daughter's shoulder. She's your granddaughter. Richard's face went pale, but his expression remained cold. That's impossible. It's very possible, William said. Carmen was pregnant when you threatened her and forced her to leave town. She's been raising my daughter alone for 16 years while I thought she had just abandoned me. Richard stood, up slowly from behind his desk. He was tall like William, but bent with age. Even if that's true, which I doubt, it changes nothing. That woman was never good enough for this family. That woman, William said, his voice getting louder, is the mother of your granddaughter. She's the woman I loved and wanted to marry. And you destroyed that because of your prejudice and pride. I protected this family's reputation and fortune. That's what a father does. Lisa had been listening to all of this, feeling anger build up inside her chest. This old man had ruined her parents' lives and her own life, and he didn't even seem sorry about it. You didn't protect anything, Lisa said, stepping forward. You destroyed everything. My mom has been sick and poor because of what you did. My dad has been sad and alone for 25 years, and I grew up without a father because you decided I wasn't good enough to be part of your family. Richard looked at Lisa with surprise. He had not expected this teenage girl to speak to him so boldly. You have no idea what you're talking about, child. You don't understand how the world works. I understand that you're a mean, selfish old man who hurt people because they didn't have as much money as you. Lisa, Carmen said gently. That's enough. But William put his hand on Lisa's arm. No, let her speak. She has every right to say what she thinks. Lisa looked directly at her grandfather. I don't want your money or your big house or your fancy things, but I want you to know that despite everything you did to hurt us, we're still a family. My mom raised me to be a good person, and my dad is taking care of us now. We don't need you. Richard was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat back down and looked out the window at his perfect gardens. Get out of my house, he said. Gladly, William replied. But first I want you to know that I'm changing my will. Everything I own will go to Lisa and Carmen. This house, your precious family business, all of it will belong to the people you tried to destroy. Richard's head snapped back toward them. You can't do that. This business has been in our family for 4 generations. And now it will go to the 5th generation, my daughter. As they walked back through the mansion toward the front door, Lisa felt sad but also relieved. She had finally met her grandfather, and now she knew she didn't want anything to do with him. Over the next few months, their lives settled into a new routine. Carmen's cancer treatments were helping, and she was feeling stronger than she had in a long time. The doctor said she might have several more years if the treatments continued to work. William sold his downtown apartment and bought a house near the hospital where Carmen could continue her treatments. It was not as big as his father's mansion, but it was warm and comfortable, with a garden where Carmen could sit and read when she felt well enough. Lisa finished her junior year at a new high school. At first, some students treated her differently when they found out her father was rich, but she made it clear that she was the same person she had always been. She kept working part-time not because she needed the money anymore, but because she liked having her own job. "I want to start a foundation," Lisa told William and Carmen one evening over dinner. "Something to help families like we used to be. Families where someone is sick and they can't afford good medical care." "That's a wonderful idea," Carmen said. "You could help a lot of people." "I'll provide the funding," William said. "But it should be your project, your way of making the world better." 1 year after that first night in William's office, Lisa stood in front of a small building with a sign that read, "The Maria Carmen Foundation, free medical care for families in need." Carmen stood beside her, healthy enough now to help run the foundation's programs. "Are you ready?" William asked, holding a pair of scissors to cut the ribbon for the grand opening. "I'm ready," Lisa said. "But you should let Mom cut the ribbon. This foundation is named after her, and she's the one who taught me that helping others is the most important thing we can do." Carmen took the scissors with shaking hands. She was crying, but they were happy tears. 25 years ago, I thought. My life was over, she said. Today I'm watching my daughter start something that will help thousands of families. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things we ever do. As the ribbon fell away and people began touring the new medical center, Lisa thought about everything that had happened. She had lost one life and gained another. She had discovered that her father was not dead, that her mother had a secret past, and that sometimes love is strong enough to survive even the cruelest attempts to destroy it. The ring that had started it all still sat on Carmen's finger next to a new wedding band. William had proposed again, properly this time, and they had been married in a small ceremony with just Lisa and a few close friends. Richard Henderson had not been invited. Lisa touched the necklace around her neck where she now wore a ring, identical to her parents' rings. Inside the band was engraved, "Forever Family, LH." It was a reminder that sometimes families are broken apart, but love can bring them back together again.